Thank you for being patient, everybody. My name is Michael Bavaro with Reflik. We're going to get the webinar started today. Thank you for giving me some time during most of your lunch hours to go through, learning a little bit more about crowdsourcing and how to leverage it to find your next hire in 10 days or less. We have a lot of different types of companies on this call, from small SMBs to enterprises like ID Images, DSS, Lockheed Martin, ZF North America, Arrow, among many others. So thank you for your time. I know everybody's schedule is very busy. To get this started, my name is Michael. I've been working in and around the staffing industry as an executive for almost 15 years. I've worked with Reflik as on business development, sales side of things for almost 2 years now. I've had the pleasure of working with many ATSs like Bamboo HR, ISIM, Smart Recruiters to integrate with our recruiting solution, and through a lot of demanding work, pushing the envelope in technology and forward thinking from our executive team, we really caught the attention of a lot of major hiring giants in the industry. On this call today, we're also going to have Stern Eisenberg, Jorida. They have over 40 years of practice and have acquired a reputation of representing its clients with both integrity as well as intensity. They provide their clients with reliable and reputable legal representation in a variety of service areas. They've also been a client of ours for about 5 months now. Jorida, she's had experience as a human resource professional with a demonstrating history of working in the law practice industry. She leads the recruiting efforts for Stern Eisenberg as well as their 11 locations. Here's a little bit of an agenda of what we're going to be covering today. I know that we've slated for about 45 minutes. That will also include a couple of different areas of some Q&A. So like I mentioned before on the call, if you guys have any questions, comments, want to chat with us while this call is going on, since we are live, please do so in your right area of GoToWebinar. There's a chat and a questions area. One of our moderators will be happy to address those for you. Towards the end of this call, we're going to handle some live Q&A. So during that time, we can address any questions that might pop up on your end. But this is a basic slating for going through what we're going to be covering. Towards the middle of the call, we're going to be going through Stern Eisenberg success, what they do for recruiting, how they can afford to find some very qualified hires in the legal area throughout their 11 offices, and what crowdsourcing has done or made easier for them in the industry. But I'm going to get started and jump into the webinar. I speak to hundreds of acquisition leaders each and every single month, and pretty much basically their pain points are quality, time, and the administrative burden that they pretty much face. I mean, you look at quality. I mean, in most cases, they're using job boards to find their hires, so just like everybody, they post and pray for applicants and hope the aggregates are working properly to bring them enough qualified candidates into their evaluation pipeline. You look at the time. I'm sure everybody on this call faces similar problems. You post jobs online and hundreds of candidates apply, but are they even qualified? Do they fit into the salary or location requirements? Or is it appears that they never even read the job description to begin with? Trust me, we all face similar issues. To many underqualified candidates, not enough time to sort through them and find qualified ones for the exact job. The administrative burden, when you think of the labor hours used in evaluating unqualified candidates, evaluating new verticals for finding candidates, or taking intake session with a dozen of external vendors that you work with, it adds up at the end of the month. Now, crowdsourcing has pretty much become a buzzword. I mean, not only in the industry, but in pretty much all industries. It's one of those words that gets thrown around so much that it might lose its impact, but think of it in a real-world example of how it works, and you've probably done this yourself. So let's say you have a minor problem. Maybe you need a new lawnmower. Maybe you haven't bought one in the last 10 years, and you aren't sure what the brands, what they're good for, where to even look. So you do what everybody does. You jump on Facebook and you put up a post. Hey, looking to buy a new lawnmower before the weekend. My grass is about 5 feet tall. What brands are good and how much should I be looking to spend? It's been almost 10 years on how to do this. You just crowdsource your question. You probably got a whole slew of answers in probably a very brief time frame. 2 or 3 of them are very solid brands to choose from. And you've gotten several local places that there might even be on sale. Crowdsourcing helps people get things done faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Put it simply, crowdsourcing has the ability to reach out to the masses instantly to solve a problem. It leverages the right set of experts among thousands to complete a common goal or task, gathering the best results in a fraction of time, reducing the overall cost, and ultimately eliminating or lowering the amount of labor devoted to complete a common task. Now, crowdsourcing for business, I mean, what if you can take that same personal scenario and apply it to business? This will streamline business like never before. Imagine cutting the administrative workload in half, improving the quality by leveraging a group of experts to solve that task. What you get is an easier and more efficient workflow. Now, taking talent crowdsourcing, it's been around for a few years, and it's been disrupting the industry quite a bit. Imagine taking the example as I described before and applying it to types of scenarios in the recruiting industry. When you're looking to hire call center representatives, programmers, IT executives, or executives in your company, you can now crowdsource a candidate through a community of seasoned recruitment professionals. Your efforts now are streamlined with a higher quality of candidate coming through the pipeline because you're harnessing the power of the crowd to fulfill a common task. It's truly bringing the recruitment industry into the 21st century. Now, everything comes down to the benefits and how it's truly going to help the company, the managers, and essentially the recruiters finding your next hires. Not only to cover some points I have been speaking about, but this is a new form of recruiting that has traction due to its success. If your company has not devoted time to researching besides this call, then piloting crowdsourced platforms, you're not really leveraging all the avenues to generate some amazing, highly qualified candidates for your organization, and these are just pretty much a few benefits. Imagine the ability to tap into the passive network a lot quicker, increasing quality candidate flow, and increasing your workload. Imagine with one contact, one platform, your communication is cut down dramatically, and most of them are completely success-based fee models. Even though most people on this call are employers looking to innovative ways to recruit, these types of platforms are also designated to benefit the recruiting community as well. Let's face it, most executives on this call have sat in their seats for a while, so you can definitely relate. Recruiters can now break into their geographic locations, now having to go through the individual approval process or work for multiple companies they might have a hard time working with. One of the biggest complaints we get from prospective employers is they see the same candidates submitted throughout the days with their current vendors. There's no silver bullet to recruiting, but crowdsourcing will give you an advantage. With this new vertical, it grants recruiters from all over the country access to jobs. In turn, you gain access to the private resume databases, connections, and passive candidates. This new applicant pipeline can help fill openings a lot quicker and with candidates that you've never seen before. Diversity hiring is obviously always on the rise. I mean, it's always tough, but it's on the minds of the employers. With crowdsourcing, you can now leverage like-minded people to attract qualified diversity candidates a lot quicker. Now I've gone through a lot of information on crowdsourcing and how it's affecting the industry. I would like you to hear from some of the industry executives on this. I wanted to thank Jorida. She's worked with Stern Eisenberg for joining us today on the call. She is, Jorida's been in HR and talent acquisition industry for about 10 years now. She leads Stern Eisenberg's recruiting efforts for all 11 offices. And she joins us today to speak on crowdsourcing as it pertains to the recruiting industry, as many directors of HR and talent acquisition expand their recruiting efforts to encompass all types of recruiting channels. She has a chance to speak on crowdsourcing and what it has done for her recruiting efforts. Reflik's had the pleasure of having Stern Eisenberg as a client for, like I said, close to about 5 months now. Jorida, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Jorida, I just wanted to ask you a few questions to get your perspective on recruiting and how crowdsourcing's played its part in your company's recruiting strategy. Also, maybe you can share some advice for everybody on the call today, too. With the 10 years of experience in HR and recruiting, what has been your standard approach when it comes to finding highly qualified candidates for your company?
Okay, well, usually the standard approach is to try and fill the position myself. So I usually use job boards. I use my ATS, and also internal postings for internal candidates. And depending on the position, depending on the position, on the level of difficulty in filling that position, I would reach out for help to various specialized agencies.
Okay. Well, what influences your decision when experimenting with new vendors, platforms, or technologies to help with recruiting?
Well, Michael, what I'm looking for is value. So I'm looking at a few things. I'm looking at a combination of the uniqueness of what that agency or vendor will bring to our company. I'm looking at cost, of course. I'm looking at the niche in the market that they have, the range, and things like that. I just want to make sure that my time is valued, and of course that I'm looking for that return on investment.
I'm sure. I mean, most companies and executives always look for the return on the ROI. So, I mean, thank you for that. Well, what usual challenges in the past have you faced when using vendors to fill your roles?
Well, our firm is very specialized. The industry, the law firm that we are very specialized into handle digital services. With that, we are also growing at a very high rate. So not only we have a lot of positions open, we also need to find candidates that have a specific experience. With that, and I need to find them within a reasonable time frame to fill those positions as quickly as I can. Also, we're looking at a reasonable cost. So while agencies can help, the right candidates are usually very few and far in between.
Okay. Well, I know I had the opportunity and a pleasure of speaking with you and getting your company, Stern Eisenberg, aboard with Reflik, so thank you for that. What do you think crowdsourcing brings to the table that is unique to the recruiting industry in this instance?
Well, Michael, when we talked and you sort of went over what the Reflik team, what you were offering, you kind of mentioned it's sort of like your Airbnb for recruiting. And, I told you I love Airbnb because of the value that it brings to the table. So I decided to give it a shot. When I signed up with you guys, we decided to get the pay-per-hire option to test the waters and see how Reflik would work for us. I figure out that most agencies I work with and I'm able to negotiate, we're looking at probably about 20% placement fee. Some of the agencies that are a little bit more specialized are a bit higher than that, up to 30%. So, in addition to the cost that it offers, I like that I can cast a wider net through Reflik without having to work with several agencies at the time. And, most of the recruiters, people that work in recruiting, they know that if you're placing an ad and reaching out to a few agencies, you have to talk to each agency, have that, initial call, explain them the position, and you're doing that over and over again, depending on with how many companies you're working with. So that a lot of that is cut by just having that, the one post with Reflik.
Okay. Well, I mean, that definitely leads me to my next question is obviously on the communication. With us, we assign a dedicated account manager to every company, so you have one point of contact. We can champion the information throughout our community. But does having a dedicated account manager with Reflik make the process of recruiting with a crowdsourcing more efficient to you?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So having a dedicated account manager makes a great difference, especially to me. I think that the Reflik interface is great. It has the capacity to be used without an account manager, but I find myself at times being so busy that I really don't have time to navigate through it. So having an account manager makes it super, super easy. I can just send a quick email to Preetam and she has the candidate scheduled or confirmed for an interview. I don't have to, do that myself if I'm lacking time.
Okay. Well, we were speaking on how crowdsourcing talent can be used to find candidates in less than 10 days. We filled a few positions for your company so far. And I know we've worked pretty quickly with you. I mean, how has the platform fared for you since you've been joined?
Oh, for me, it has been very efficient, very quick, and we will definitely find the candidates in less than 10 days, even for the most difficult to fill positions. After that, it's just a matter of us being on time and like being able to schedule the interview with the various managers. But definitely the candidates are there.
All right, great. Well, thank you for speaking candidly with us, Jorida. I really appreciate it. I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to say or comment on today for the executives and recruiting professionals on the call?
No, I mean, I think we covered pretty much everything. I really do enjoy the platform, and I think it's definitely a good tool for us in recruitment.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time very much for jumping on and speaking about your experiences and whatnot. Thank you so much. I wish you a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next intake session.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to how crowdsourcing has made its change in the industry. And Jorida's been with us, or Stern Eisenberg's with us for the last couple of months. We handle a wide range of different positions for them. I'd like to go through Reflik in itself, and we specialize in crowdsourcing talent for several hundred different companies all across the entire country. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the specifics of how we can actually do that for companies. We are a talent crowdsourcing platform. Currently, right now, we have about 14,000 independent recruiters, staffing professionals, agencies, headhunters, everything from your small mom-and-pop niche shops to the conglomerates with 20 to 40 offices all over the country. They register onto our platform. They gain access to hundreds of jobs that we're marketing on a daily basis. They're specifically looking to leverage and monetize their personal professional network, their connections, and their private resume databases to crowdsource very qualified and capable candidates for all the employers that we're working with on a daily basis. And since we have this unique opportunity to really tap into this network of professionals, we can ultimately find the company's next hire in those little as 10 days. And we do that very aggressively through our platform, trying to keep our communication or our finger on the pulse with the community as well. Our solution is quite simple. So let's say if we're onboarding a new company, let's say it's ABC company, and we sit down with them and their recruiting team, learn all about the company, the culture, the background, what they're looking for in employees. Let's say if we're onboarding director of sales positions. Our account manager will sit down with the recruiters and really try and peel it on your back as many layers as possible to get a very good understanding what the personality, skills, traits that you're looking for. Once we're doing those intake sessions, we take some very detailed notes. We create a micro page for the company so that we can market ABC Company to our entire community as well as the applicants that are coming through. We upload the jobs to that micro page and attach to the notes so that we can educate our community very quickly, and we make it live on our platform. Once it becomes live, it's instantly visible to over 14,000 recruiters all over the entire country to start leveraging their connections and background and experience to try crowdsourcing the candidates. Ultimately, it comes down to around 5 to 50 different individuals and companies that engage on each and every single opportunity that's live on our platform. These people can share it on their social feeds, tap into LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, come on. In this day and age, it's a viral community, it's a viral marketplace, it's organic. So as they're sharing it, it's not just who they know, it's the people that they know as well. So it's paying it forward. So it can go viral very quickly and attract some very specific and passive candidates instantly. They can also leverage their private resume databases. We've created some pretty technology to algorithm to where they can upload their resume data bank into our system. It'll read through that job description, read through all the resumes, pinpoint people that match perfectly on paper, and alert them to saying, you just uploaded X amount, here's 15 that might be perfect on paper, go and speak to them. Ultimately, we're giving them all the tools to literally cut that time to fill in half to identify the qualified candidates very quickly. Let's say they find 25 or 30 qualified people for the sales director position. They submit it through our platform. The candidates don't go over to the employer yet, but they get stopped into our platform, and the account manager that has been working with that employer that's also doing the intake sessions, learning about the company, the background, and all the qualifications they're looking for, we scrub it against another algorithm to make sure that they match on paper. Then we interview, evaluate, screen, vet out anybody unqualified. Our end game is trying to find 10 of the most qualified candidates less than 10 days, literally doing all the upwards funnel work for the employer. Once we're identifying those qualified candidates, then we send them over to the employer for evaluation. Since we're on platform, one point of contact, we strip out a lot of the administrative burden that's normally wasted during the process, and we harness it to find the qualified people. We leverage the communication very well. And we champion that information from the company to our community to find the people very quick. And we've built Reflik not just for the fast growth startups and the smaller SMBs, but we've also built it for the enterprise solutions as well. So Reflik can be utilized as, I like to call it a baby ATS, or it can integrate with just about any ATS on a marketplace today, like an iSIM, Smart Recruiters, ADP, and whatnot. So it's an all-inclusive solution for the employers to utilize. If we're sending qualified people over to the employer and are getting rejected, we generally pull a call pretty quickly so we can understand why. We can re-educate our community, recalibrate our searches, and get back to work pretty quickly. And for a lot of companies that are having trouble finding specific candidates, there's no silver bullet in the industry. What makes us special is we can cast a very large net very quickly. Generally, for positions that might not have traction on our platform, we let them go for about a week or two and ask somebody from the company to give us about 20 or 30 minutes. We organize a call. Anybody that had any recruiter on our platform that engaged on a certain opportunity, we ask them to join this webinar. We'll pull all of the recruiters that we know that have fared very well on our platform with that experience and skill set onto that call as well. This way we can have the recruiter from the company speak on the position, go through the little nuances of that role. They can ask some questions through chat. Normally we get a lot of engagement afterwards. So we have an opportunity of really leveraging a very large community very quickly. And dive into this a little bit deeper, we got a very broad reach. I mean, you look throughout this heat map throughout the U.S., we have over 14,000 people working through our platform. Primarily in the U.S., we have the coverage across all the different states. And you look into the different areas of interest and industries, we have a broad range of this as well. And our community is growing. It's becoming a very rapidly growing community because we give a lot of transparency. As you can tell in a future slides, they can track everything, but transparency is something that's lost in this industry. We're shedding a lot of light on it right now. Looking at the quality, everybody's always focusing on the quality. And to give you a good understanding of how this process works, after we do the intake session for any particular job that's marketed on our platform, we attach the notes to it and make it visible on our platform. Recruiters do what they do best. They recruit. They screen, qualify, and vet out the people that they're finding online. And once they're identifying them, they're submitting them through our platform. Once the recruiter submits a qualified submission, it pings that candidate for their approval. They get an opportunity of looking at information over, making sure it's accurate, and then submitting it through. Once it comes through, it's scored by our algorithm, make sure it's qualified on paper. If it doesn't, it kicks it back over. If it does, it goes over to the account manager review. We rigorously filter every qualified submission so that the employers that work with us don't have to. There's no bottleneck in the process. As the account manager, who has firsthand knowledge on what you're looking for, is evaluating and scrubbing them, they have an opportunity of doing one of a few things. One is straight rejecting it because it's not a good match. If it's missing some information, we get an opportunity of kicking it back to the recruiter that found that candidate to add the additional information needed. If it is a qualified submission, then we send it over to the employer. So I mean, it's that simple. We have a ranking system on our platform. Currently, we try and keep a 65 to 75% success ratio. So any candidate submitted through our platform, we try and keep around 65% that's going over to the employer. So I mean, that's the quality that our platform is giving. Efficiency is quite simple. The day and age of somebody dealing with 5, 10, 15, 20 vendors on a daily basis is over because crowdsourcing is here. With us, we try and have a very personalized relationship with the employers, working with an account manager that's assigned to the company dedicated, and they're screening and evaluating all of the submissions and also championing that message to our community We have our finger on a pulse with them as well. If they have questions or comments, they can pick up the phone, send over an email, and they're contacting Reflik account manager directly. We also have weekly national calls to where we can go through new clients, updates, recs, and make sure that everybody's on the same page, pretty much keeping them in the know of the situation. We've been around for 3 years and having some amazing success working with some very large clients throughout our platform, Canon, MGM, CarMax, Interactive Brokers. The list goes on and on. They're all different industries and all different levels. So at one point we can be marketing and fulfilling positions on an entry level for call center, and all will go up to executive and the C-suite and everything in between. And it's really from the diversity of our marketplace and the recruiters. They have the know-how and experience to find and recruit for just about anything. The most important trait with us is keeping a very fluid communication between us and the employer and giving us privy to exactly what you're looking for as candidates. Now, I'm going to dive into our platform as a solution in itself. Reflik, this is obviously the Reflik homepage. People come over here and sign up. Once they do, they can register as a recruiter and an employer. Recruiters, like I mentioned, we have between 13,000 and 14,000 professionals that have joined our platform. On a monthly basis, we have a growth of anywhere from 500 to 1,000. So our platform is becoming very sticky because we're very transparent in the way that we do business, and we transfer the knowledge very successfully. So we get a lot of very large and very interesting companies joining us on a regular basis. For employers, it's very simple for people to sign up. Once they do, they can reactivate their account. Once their account is activated, they can post jobs on our platform, upload them from the ATS. And once they do, they don't go live. We schedule an intake call. During an intake call with your account manager, we dive through all the information about that opportunity, learn about the company, the culture, the background, the specifics about the role, qualifications. You really want to get a very good understanding. The more information that we know, the better we can qualify people prior to sending them over to the employer. During this process, we generate some pre-screening questions. They're completely customizable to each and every single opportunity. And depending upon how large the company is, I have certain clients with 1 or 2 people that have an account, and I have some like General Dynamics that might have 1 or 2 managers and 40 or 50 recruiters underneath them. The individuals that are working on specific roles can be put over here so that we can manage the data very easily. We can integrate with just about any ATS that's on the marketplace right now, and this is something that can keep that workflow very easy. Some companies don't mind logging into their ATS as well as a secondary system like ours. When the time comes up to where we do get an opportunity of integrating, just like with ADP, iSIM, Smart Recruiter, SuccessFactors, it would be like you pushing jobs out online. So instead of pushing them onto Monster or LinkedIn, you would log into your ATS, push them onto Reflik. At that point, we schedule an intake call, learn about the opportunity. Once we have a good understanding, we make the job live on our platform. It's instantly available to 13,000 professionals to start recruiting. They find qualified candidates. They submit them through our platform. At that point, we rigorously filter them again, only identifying the qualified matches, trying to get that 10 in 10 days. Then we submit them through to your platform. Your system, our system, they talk together behind the scenes. So as you're moving people through the bucket system, it's updating our platform and letting our entire community know where people are in the pipeline. So it's making sure everybody's kept in the know. We have a ton of technology backing our platform. We realize we have over 10,000 recruiting professionals working through us, but not for us. So we will make it very easy for them to tap into their network of professional candidates and really find some amazing passive candidates for companies like yourself. We have an easy job sharing, so whether they're on their phone, tablet, computer, click of a button, they can share it to their network pretty quickly. We have a multi-tier tracking referral system, and auto matching, which is forcing the cream to the top. That's allowing them to tap into their private resume databases, identifying qualified matches very quickly. Now, as a recruiting professional, this is what they would see if any one of our community logged into their back office. They can see the companies, locations, descriptions. They can see the referral award, the guarantee periods associated to each and every opportunity, so they know what they're going to be getting paid if they find a qualified person. They can even see the pipeline. I mean, transparency is everything, not only for you as the employer, but also for the recruiters. They want to know how underworked or overworked are certain opportunities, and track their candidates going through the process. So as they're submitting people, they can see where each and every single candidate is, how many people have been submitted, where people are in a pipeline, so it can let them know if they want to engage or not. Most importantly is knowledge. Knowledge is power. More knowledge that we can give them, the better and more efficient they're going to be to finding candidates for you. So the job insights are the notes that we take during our intake calls. So every job that's live on our platform, we learn about your company and culture and background to where it becomes second nature to us. During those calls, we jot down the specifics. So if there's certain companies that you have affiliations with, you don't want them going after, we put all the information down over here and all the details so that we can get very specific on it. And if our community has any questions, we have direct contact to account manager so they can pick up the phone, send over an email, and get them answered pretty quickly so they can find people very, very, very fast. Once they have a good understanding of what to look for, they can do what they do best, which is recruit. So they can refer people, apply on behalf of the candidates, send them over a direct URL, or leverage social media to find the candidates as well. When you do this, I mean, in this day and age, it's all about branding, getting the organic nature or the viral nature of the brand out there. So we do that as well. Over here, you can see on the left, there is a micro page with a brand, each and every company that we're working with so that the applicants can understand who they're applying to, the culture, the background, and on the right, it's obviously going to be the job description as well. This makes the process very sticky for the applicants coming through. It sheds a lot of light on the company and lets people know in that area that that company's hiring. And this is also a static message. So we do a lot of, we pull the information off of LinkedIn or the company. Once it's approved, nobody can edit it or change it except the company or us. This would be a back office, let's say, for any employer that's on this call today, so you can see how the jobs are faring on our platform. So whether it be 1 or 100 different jobs that we're marketing for the companies, you can see the traction, how long it's been posted with us, how many referrals were given out by each recruiter, how many shares on social media that happened, and how many clicks and views that it garnered for that visibility. On this case, we've gotten about 14 candidates submitted over to the employer. Like I was saying before, we try and keep a 65 to 75% ratio. So if we receive 20 or 21 candidates, we've scrubbed out the people that didn't match, sent over the qualified candidates that we felt were a perfect match. For this employer, they considered 3 are under consideration, and 5 more are still in the pipeline. Now, as you're digging into the pipeline and looking at this, we blend our technology with LinkedIn, so we're parsing our images. They can be moved through the different bucket systems. People can schedule interviews right off the back end, or they can share a specific profile with a colleague. Most importantly, it's the legwork that we do for each and every single company on the candidates. As you're clicking into view resume, not only is the easy stuff pulled in, like the resume, cover letter, and skills, but our external community and account managers draft up a cover letter or an executive summary on each and every single candidate, and also having pre-screening questions. So we paint an amazing picture for each candidate being submitted over to the employer. And also with this, a lot of our technical clients or financial clients, they want to dig deep into the people's background and really understand what's driving them to even evaluate the people. So they give us a list of questions, 5, 10, 15, diving into their background or skill sets or experiences, or why do they feel that this is the right move for them, what they're currently making, what they're looking to make. Anything whatsoever we can find out for the company. So normally that week of fact-finding is over. Our community does it, verified, and then sent over through the back office, and we also have an email. So as you're looking over the information, instead of logging into Reflik every single day, as candidates are coming through, you can look at it through email, look over their executive summary, review their application, and from the flexibility of your phone, tablet, or email, you can shortlist and reject them, so it's streamlining the entire process for you. You can even track where all the candidates are coming from in the different sources, find out what status that they are in the evaluation. We've been a complete game changer for the industry. We work with a lot of companies, small, medium, and large, and their concerns are the same. I mean, time, quality, and efficiency. Like I said, I mean, we've been a complete game changer, leveraging our community of recruiting professionals to find candidates for them across all industries, across all levels, very, very quickly and efficiently for the companies. So we've had a lot of success with our platform. We've been recognized from a lot of different very well-known brands and companies as well. And we're also very extremely competitive when it comes to pricing as well. We have customers from Fortune 500 companies, SMBs. We have different plans that accommodate the needs and companies with different sizes and needs as well. Our plans range from a straight success-based fee contingency type model to a more of a monthly subscription plan as well. For this, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to discuss options specific to your needs. But for right now, I'd like to go over some Q&A. I'd love to hear from you and the questions that you may have so that we can address any of them. If you have some time to go to the questions or chat box, please type some in there. Some of our moderators will answer them, but I'll also answer them as well. I'll give you guys a few moments just to type some of those in, so just give me a few moments, please. And thank you for attending and learning a little bit more about us as well as crowdsourcing as well. All right, guys, I got a few questions in. Thank you for being patient with me. A few people actually asked this. Reflik's community of recruiters is in the thousands. They're asking, will I be bombarded with resumes and contacts? And that's really the beauty about our platform. Despite having access to the massive reach, and the answer is no, to answer it blatantly, but despite having access to the massive reach that only large community of recruiters can provide, as a Reflik client, you will only be working with one account manager, and you will be sent only qualified candidates that meet your specifications. So the right set of recruiters and recruiting firms will work on your positions. Reflik technology and the account manager to that we assign your company will filter all of the incoming submissions, and we base that on the specifications and the communication that we have during those intake calls. We weed out anybody that doesn't match, identify the people that do, and then send them over to you specifically. And let me see, another one is coming in. Okay, our company has jobs that are in unique specialty, and I have a hard time finding appropriate candidates. How will Reflik work for me? Well, Reflik's recruiting community is diverse and vibrant. Members specialize in recruiting from all major functional roles in all industries across the U.S. So, we can handle just about anything. Like I said before, it's all on how fluid the communication is between you and us. So the more information that we're getting on the roles, the better details that we're going to have it, the more information and knowledge that we can transfer over to our community to find a candidate for you. All right, guys, my team has answered the majority of everything else. So I want to thank you for attending. If you do have any other questions coming through, we have a survey that's going to be popping up once I close this out. It's also going to be emailed over to you. I always like to know how these calls are and better them for the future and how they relate to your business. So if you do have an extra 5 or 10 minutes, if you can fill that out, I would greatly appreciate it. If you do have any questions, my phone number and my email is right here. It should also be sent out to you after this. I would welcome any calls or emails to address any questions that you may have. I know there's a lot of companies on here trying to find some new alternative solutions to find candidates. It's always on the minds of others. But as I see a couple more questions coming in, my team's going to be addressing them, but thank you for attending the call today. I hope in the future I can speak to everybody and see how your recruiting structure is going. But thank you. Have a great day, everybody.